From the North American International Auto Show, this is Detroit Unspun TV. We've got a ton planned for the next half hour for you. We've got information on electric vehicles coming to market. We've got information on where you can eat around Kobo Arena. And we've also sat down with a dentist who doubles as a Ukrainian Bandura player. Journalists from around the globe have descended on Detroit this week for the North American International Auto Show. But as Fox 2 News tells us, several journalists decided to step off the Kobo Center property and take a tour of different things happening in and around Detroit as they start to document Detroit's transformation. The New York Times also points out that while Detroit is known for automotive innovation, there are several entrepreneurs that are doing a lot to prove that there is innovation happening in other industries outside the auto industry as the region begins to diversify their economy. Now behind us, there was a huge announcement this week from Maserati that they'll be building this vehicle right here, the Kubang, in Detroit. And finally, thanks to the New York Observer for pointing out that Steve Perry finally noticed there is no such place as South Detroit. Unless, of course, you believe it's Windsor, Ontario. That's this week's headlines. One of the things that you, the viewer, asked us for was a lot more information on the electric vehicles that were being debuted here. Here's a story about one company called VIA.
So have you ever gotten that truck and thought that it needed an extra charge? Well, here's the deal. We've ran across this company called VIA here at the North American International Auto Show, and I'm here with Craig to talk about how this is apparently the iPhone of your next vehicle. Let's talk about that for a second, Craig. So I was wandering around seeing all this stuff, and it's like, that looks like a GM truck, but it doesn't quite look like a GM truck under the hood. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about that?
This is an extended range electric truck.
Okay.
It's an electric drive system with a range extender. So this vehicle always drives the wheels electrically.
Okay.
And then the combustion engine is only there after you've driven it 40 miles to charge the batteries after you've driven those initial 40 miles. So it's an electric vehicle with a range extender. Not only is it that, but as you introduce the idea of an iPhone, this is a tool. This is a work tool. Not only can it provide you transportation at mileage rates oftentimes in excess of 100 miles per gallon, but this is a vehicle that you can pull into a job site. You can plug in welders, you can plug in power saws, you can plug in power tools to this vehicle and run an entire job site. If your power goes out at your home, you can pull into your home, plug in and power your entire home. In fact, it has the capacity not only to power your home, but 2 or 3 of your neighbors at the same time. So this is no longer just transportation. This is truly a transportation tool.
Really, because so many people, they think of electric, they think of the electric, just electric cars in general, and they think of little tiny zippers that run about that maybe fit better in Europe or somewhere like this. This is a truck. So when somebody's looking at this, one of the things that I was looking through your notes is that this is actually built right here in the Metro Detroit region?
Yes, these vehicles are built for us by Roush.
Okay.
They'll be delivering the first 2,700 units will be coming out in 2012. Most of these units are going to fleet customers, utility fleets, government fleets, telecom fleets, people who actually use vehicles as a tool. You mentioned the small vehicles that are around in the electric space right now, and we love those, we appreciate those, but the fact of the matter is the bulk of the emissions in this country are created in trucks, vans, and SUVs. There are also a reality of a soccer mom cannot take a soccer team to a game in a Fiat 500.
So
they have to have the space.
Like a practical solution.
This is the practical American solution. Build in America.
That's really, really interesting. So how does somebody get a hold of this? Because I've never seen a VIA dealership driving around yet. So how does somebody get a hold of one of these things?
Well, we're initially, as I said, rolling these out to fleets.
Okay.
So we're dealing directly with fleets. VIA has a fleet sales team. We deal with the fleets. Most of the 2012 and a lot of the 13 capacity is sold.
Okay.
So
these are already off the floor. Like this isn't just a dream. There's money transacted here.
That's correct, and you can actually go downstairs and drive one of these vehicles in the ride and drive today. So
excellent.
It's an exciting time. We're real pleased with it. We're proud of the vehicle that we've designed and built here. We believe that there is nothing on the planet like it. Right now, the General Services Administration, which is the GSA that sells all the vehicles to the government, has selected us as the vehicle of this category to be in the fleets for next year in 2013. So this is not just a pickup truck, even though it is a spectacular pickup truck. You get in it, you drive it, it's quiet. It's obviously very efficient on use of energy. This vehicle does get in excess of 100 miles per gallon for an average consumer that drives a vehicle an average 40-45 miles per day.
And let's talk about what gas mileage on a truck normally is, because it's usually lower than your car mileage. You got 100 miles a gallon versus what does a normal truck do?
Trucks are usually rated between 13 and 16 miles per gallon.
So you're talking 5 times easily.
Oh yes, yeah. This is a vehicle that literally will save a consumer money the day he buys one of these. Will save them money from driving a regular gas combustion engine, not only on the purchase, on the combined use of purchasing it and the fuel. So it's a vehicle that literally you do not have to ask the question, how long will it take this to pay back? The fact is, the first time you drive this vehicle, it's saving you money in both cost of vehicle and fuel combined. Those two things combined. It's a total cost of ownership is less than a standard vehicle. So
you're going to fleets right now. To wrap this up then, are there any plans to bring it to the consumer market?
Yes, we plan to bring this to the consumer market in 2014.
Okay.
That's when we'll be establishing the dealer networks that we'll be using. We're working on those relationships at this time, and so we're excited to do that. This will be a great consumer tool. I think of the events that have happened here on the East Coast just in this last 6 months, where we've had numerous large power outings for a long range of time for people in homes without power for days and days. This vehicle was capable, if you own this vehicle, of supporting your family, your home, and frankly a couple of your neighbors for those down days. That's why I call this really not just transportation. This is a transportation tool. It goes far beyond normal transportation.
Excellent. Well, Craig Higginson, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
This is Detroit Unspun from the floor of the North American International Auto Show.
So in case you don't find a bag of nuts quite satisfying your hunger, here are our suggestions for places you can go to eat around the auto show. Today is the first day of the media preview of the North American International Auto Show. Well, there is a little bit of food inside the Cobo Center. What people really want to know is where to go to eat when they get downtown Detroit. Here are a couple of suggestions. So just a few blocks away from Cobo, along Larned, at Griswold, you've got TJ's Grill Works here with a pretty diverse menu of things, but get here quick because they're only open till 3. If you're in the mood to get a little Detroit history, come to the Guardian building. It's only a few blocks away from Cobo. We've got the Rolling Cafe here where you can grab some coffee, do a little swag shopping over here at Pure Detroit. And if you want a panini or a little more substantive something to nosh on, you've got Stella International Cafe right behind us in the lobby. Walk a few more blocks toward Woodward, you'll end up along this strip, starting in Congress, going up to Campus Martius Park, where you can get great beers at Grand Trunk Pub and some really good burgers. You've got a couple Coney Islands, some great Thai food in Bangkok. This is definitely a great place to come looking for additional food. Or if you want subs, you've got your Quiznos, your Jimmy John's, even a little Mr. Beto over here. They're even really good at lunch spots like this. The Green Room, open from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. during the auto show. If you're looking for a little finer dining option, maybe something really nice for dinner, impress people by bringing them over here to the Penobscot building and checking out the Caucus Club. So if you're in the mood for a little sushi, a little Chinese food, 3 blocks away is your option. Downtown's got you covered from breakfast at places like Zoom through lunch and dinner at places like Blue Star Cafe and Subway if you've got that late night nosh after the auto show. Want coffee? And tucked off on the other side of Cobo Hall, you've got a couple of great options too, like Cobo Joe's at the Post Bar. You might even meet a Red Wings aficionado or two while you're hanging out here. And while this isn't an exhaustive list of where you can find some good eats away from the Cobo campus, this certainly is a good start. So enjoy the North American International Auto Show and eat well, Detroit. We ran across a company called CODA here at the auto show, and we found out one thing. This new company on the block certainly is electric. So we're here with Thomas from CODA Motors, and this is an interesting one to me because I'd never heard of CODA until the auto show. When you're an electric vehicle manufacturer, what makes CODA different from the other electric vehicles that we've seen here at the show so far?
Yeah, well, number one, we are a full zero emissions vehicle company, so we only build vehicles that don't emit anything. From that point of view, we're different than a few other manufacturers that show their capability to do electric vehicles, but of course have to sell a lot of combustion engine and hybrid cars to move forward. Secondly, in our class, we are the most capable vehicle. Our range is the largest. We have up to 150 mile range. We just announced a second pricing option with up to 125 mile range. That's still 25% better than the nearest competitor of electric vehicles. We have an active thermal management that actually enables your car to drive even when it's very cold without losing a lot of capacity.
I was going to say that I know that's always one question. People get concerned about how far they can get on a charge,
yes,
and extreme heat, extreme cold affect the battery life.
Yes.
So how do you handle that for extreme heat situations as well?
It is a matter of fact that you have to make sure that the battery is kept between a temperature that's comfortable for a human. You want to keep it someplace between maybe 40 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit or so. And in order to achieve that, believe it or not, we use air-cooled or air-warmed climate management. Very affordable in the industry. We have a very ingenious engineering department, and we are actually cooling with an air conditioning system our batteries, air-cooled, or we're warming it up with an air conditioning system, just like the passenger cabin. And that makes us, on the one side, very cost efficient, but also from the technology, very robust. You will see that a lot of other manufacturers use liquid cooling, and that has its advantages and its disadvantages. And we're quite happy to have an air-cooled and air-heated battery compartment.
Now, your company is interesting also because it's based in LA.
Yes.
And you're getting ready to ship your first vehicles to consumers, if I'm correct, in San Diego pretty soon. Why is it important then to be in Detroit at this auto show if you're not producing vehicles that will be for this public here quite yet?
Yeah. Well, as you know, the Detroit Motor Show is not only a consumer show, but let me point out that we launch in California, so San Diego, Northern California, San Francisco area, and LA. We're launching similarly in March and deliver the first vehicles here in February. We're actually finishing our first vehicles as I speak in Venetia in Northern California, and they'll be finally assembled by the middle of February. Why is it important to be here in Detroit? Number one, our customers are also here in Detroit, but we're probably coming here the fourth quarter in 2012. Secondly, the industry is here. We're not only producing vehicles and selling the CODA electric sedan, but we're also working with other OEMs, other manufacturers, to help them to have a robust zero-emission vehicles available. So part of our business is not only selling cars, but also selling drivetrains. And a third area that we're very good in is energy storage. We have a joint venture with a battery manufacturer, and we can really store energy not only in a car, but also stationary.
Now, you had also mentioned that you've been in Detroit for about 8 years. When you got back into town, where's the first place you knew you needed to run to?
That's an excellent question. I have to admit to you, I wanted to go to Sweet Georgia Brown's. I realized they shut that down.
Yeah.
But there's so many other great restaurants. So coming down, actually, we went to the Cafe Roma, a very great place in Detroit.
Yes.
I'll love to get to that. It's very typical downtownish. I love that.
Great. Thanks for your time, Thomas. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're coming down for the auto show anyway, so here are 5 suggestions for extending your stay downtown. Los Angeles might have all the celebrities. Chicago might have tons of room. But no other auto show in North America has the throngs of media, commands the number of vehicle premieres, or even the attention that the North American International Auto Show here in Detroit gets. So we know you're coming downtown this weekend. And just in case you get tired of all the sexy cars, remember that downtown Detroit has plenty to offer outside the friendly confines of Cobo Hall. For example, number 1, opening event for the DAM Design Show 2012. Now, people usually associate the words design and Detroit with the automotive industry, which is too bad because there's a growing wave of furniture and fashion designers that are calling Detroit home. The Detroit Artist Market is featuring these artists on Friday so that you can catch the wave yourself. Number 2, Industrial 101, a journey through the history of industrial music. If you're looking for a true escape from the auto show, this is your event. This is a crowd that could care less what car you want to be driving. They really only care that you're wearing enough black clothing to get in. Number 3, Panacea work by Jason DeMarte, closing reception. Now, while the Detroit Center for Contemporary Photography technically falls just a bit outside the Dig Downtown zone, you will not find a better representation of the outstanding photographic talent that calls Metro Detroit home. Number 4, new work, The Art of M. Stoffel Gardner and Tylon J. Sawyer. Now, Cass Cafe is far from being your typical cafe. In addition to being a great space to check out emerging new artists, your vegan friends can also sit down and grab a bite to eat with you here. Saturday is the official kickoff to their latest exhibition. And number 5, January Open City, Small Business and Local Media Edition. Often examined and never duplicated, Open City Detroit is the place to be if you're thinking about starting a business in the Motor City. The panel discussions are always worth the trip, but the people you meet are the reason you'll come back month after month. From inside the North American International Auto Show at Cobo Hall, that's this week's Dig Downtown 5. Among the announcements at this year's auto show was from Denso North America, where they're expanding their research and development headquarters here in Southfield. We had a chance to catch up with them about why it's important to stay here in southeastern Michigan. We're also here with Doug from Denso. You are the Vice President of Engineering, if I heard correctly.
Correct.
I'm getting better at this. Tell me, it's yesterday you made the announcement that there is going to be a significant increase in the number of engineers here, an increase in the research and development that Denso is going to be doing in their Southfield office. Why Southfield? Why Southeast Michigan for that kind of investment?
Well, I think there's a lot of pieces to that. One is Denso's philosophy of doing more research around the world and trying to do research where the activity is most prevalent, are most, not just popular, but the most activity is occurring. And in the HMI area, it seems like with cell phones and everything that's happening in North America, it's happening here as opposed to around the world. Around the world has pieces of that, but the American population seems to be more interested in getting all the information they can in their vehicles than other places. So that's why North America. Why in Southfield? Because this is first where our customers are, but it's also a good location for bringing the talent together that we need. I mean, this is not just standard talent. I mean, this is mechanical engineers, this is software engineers, this is scientists in some cases. So it's a broader scope than just one type of engineer and this is a good place to do that. I mean, we're also going to open a facility in Silicon Valley, and we're going to use that as an idea generator. Small operation, but just to try to bring new ideas back into Denso. Now, those could be developed here, could be in Japan. That'll depend on what the idea is. But if they're HMI related, we'll bring those back here and use those in Southfield.
Now, for those who aren't as deeply versed in automotive stuff as you guys are, what does HMI mean?
Well, HMI is human-machine interface.
Okay.
And that can be a really broad range of topics. You know, how do you interact with the vehicle? How do you get information from the vehicle? By sight, by touch, by sound. How do you give information to the vehicle? By touch, by voice command. And so all of these pieces are part of the HMI.
Okay. And what kinds of innovations has Denso been able to bring to market? What are you hoping, what are you working on that you can tip us off a little bit about that would be interesting to people?
Well, I think probably the most important thing is, how do we make you comfortable driving? I mean, there's all kinds of distractions going on when you're driving, not just from your cell phone, but from the weather outside. Or how do you feel when you get in the car? Are you anxious or nervous about something else that's happened in your life? And so driving should be fun. That's what we want it to be, right? We want it to be fun.
Right, exactly.
So if we can balance the HMI and give you the right information at the right time that you need it, and maybe reduce the clutter in serious situations, and, well, I don't want to say more clutter,
but to put back some of the things that people want, when it's not,
when it's appropriate to have that.
Okay,
yeah,
great. Well, thank you very much for the time. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
For the students at Youth Neighborhood News, this was their first time at the auto show, and they also had the opportunity to speak with a lot of journalists from around the world. This is what they learned. So I'm joined by the students from Youth Neighborhood News, which it's got to be kind of an interesting experience for you, being the first auto show, but trying to cover it as journalists. So Kennedy, tell me, what is your impression initially of the auto show?
I'm just surprised by it. I didn't think that the auto show would be this amazing.
What's amazed you so far about it?
The cars.
The cars?
The cars.
Anyone in particular standing out to you?
Nope.
Okay. Well, no, that's legit. That's good stuff. And Michaela, I know that you've covered a few things for Youth Neighborhood News. What makes the auto show different from anything you've covered so far for YNN?
Well, actually, I think the auto show is different because it's so many different people from so many different places, and it makes it really fun because we get to interview all of them, seeing all of their point of views, and yeah.
And Rochelle, I know that you guys were trying to talk with some of the journalists visiting. Have you had the opportunity to talk with a few, and what have they been telling you?
Yes, I've talked to a lot of people with different languages, some that doesn't speak English, so it's hard to speak to them. So I had to talk to other people. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
And Gianni, you've been a Youth Neighborhood News reporter for a little while now. What are some of the things that you're hearing from the journalists yourself?
A lot of the things I've been hearing are the language barrier is a thing, because we interviewed a lot of international journalists and people from all over. But I heard a lot about the cars. They're more customizable and fashionable this year, and smart. And a lot of people are liking the smart car. That's the big thing. So it's just really interesting to hear the different reactions.
Now, has there been any one nugget of advice that anybody's given you so far today? I know you just got here a couple hours ago, but have you heard anything from any of the journalists in terms of a good way to start? Michaela?
Yes, actually, one of the guys that we talked to, he's actually from Detroit, and he was just telling us to write and practice from now and forever, because journalists nowadays, a lot of them can't write as good as they should be able to. So he was just saying start writing now, practice, and edit yourself.
Sounds like a ton of great advice. Well, thanks to the students from Youth Neighborhood News for joining us at the International Auto Show. We really appreciate it, and good luck with the rest of your reporting.
Thank you.
So for something completely different, this week's Detroit People focuses on Dr. Marco Farion, who is a dentist by day, but he's also a very good player of the bandura, a traditional Ukrainian folk instrument.
Solving problems, but still living.
Ever since I can remember, I've been singing in my school choir, and also ever since I can remember, I've been playing piano. So my parents made me play the piano, I think, since I was 5 or 6. So, and then when I was around 12 or 13, I began playing the Ukrainian instrument, the bandura. Involved with this instrumental called the Humming Stepu, Echo of the Steppes. But throughout, I've always sung in choirs, either the grade school choir, the church choir. Never thought I had any kind of a voice, but I've developed it. I've taken lessons, and luckily, I was able to be a soloist in different choirs, and eventually I made it to the Michigan Opera Chorus, which is fantastic for me. Yeah, I am a bass. Yeah. Well, typically, singing in a chorus, it's almost like the foundation of the chord, the foundation of the sound. I've had several choir directors, place me. They usually place me in the center, but in the back row. And one guy actually called me the anchor of the choir because, if I set the basso tone, then everybody can kind of build on top of that. And, it seemed to be a key role. Obviously, the tenors and the sopranos get all the accolades. But if the bass section is off key, then the whole thing falls apart. It's almost like the foundation of the sound of the chorus. Maybe being the foundation, of the family, the Rock of Gibraltar or what have you. I feel a sense of responsibility as any normal person would have, for family and community, where I'm involved here in the school, both the Saturday school and the parochial grade school, involved in church, singing in the choir there in the church, council, helping out with different things. So, but I always thought of it as a responsibility that my parents kind of instilled in me because they were involved in the community throughout, their lives. And, I always felt the responsibility of giving back to the community and volunteering and participating in different aspects.
We've had a great time bringing you the last half hour of Detroit Unspun TV from here at the North American International Auto Show. We hope it's been informative. Thanks to Down with Detroit for providing me with my usual teas. Really appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in. Buena suerte, Detroit.